And Bentley at the 1. Bentley has an angle, and he's got just the kicker to beat. Bentley at the 30, the 25, the 15, a 99-yard kickoff return.
Over the top. Oh, stuffed by Bertrand. Yikes.
Now it's time for Illini Drive, your home on the way home for Illini sports every Monday at 6. Only on Champaign's Alternative, WPGU 107.1 FM.
Steve Bourbon, co-host, St. Charles, Illinois.
Sam Sherman, co-host, Wilmette, Illinois.
Jeff Omer, social media guru, Naperville, Illinois.
Torrance Surreal, producer, Shad City, baby.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. I'm Sam Sherman, joined alongside my guys Steve Bourbon, Torrance Sorrell, and Jeff Homer. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Not too bad, Sam. Just excited for another show.
Yeah, well, I mean, because like weather-wise, which is always kind of a way that people seem to like judge how the day is going. Yesterday was amazing, and I was thinking like, you know, is there any chance that today can be like even like a sliver of what yesterday was, and it wasn't? It was cold.
No.
Very cold. But anyway, fun show day, very fun show. And a big reason for that is we've got some special guests. We've got Cody Westerland from The Score. We're going to talk some Bulls with him. We're going to talk some signing day. And later on in the show, we're going to have Don Girard, Champaign Mayor, in studio.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. At this point, he is a friend of the show.
Yeah.
He will be in studio to talk about a very fun, sort of a pretty entertaining thing that happened Saturday afternoon in an exchange between him and ESPN's Dan Dockich, a guy that you like a lot, Steve.
Well, I like Dockich for his honesty, but sometimes he's wrong.
Sure. I think that's like everybody, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
people
he's one
who...
of the few guys that, like, he'll honestly say what he thinks.
Yeah, he definitely will.
He doesn't, hedge anything or ever.
And we will talk about all that with the mayor, Don Girard, later in the show. But first, fun thing going on right now. Actually, if you at the end of the show, call in. Seriously, this time. We always want you to call in, but this time, pretty fun thing. Call in to 217-337-1071. We're giving away 2 pairs, Steve. 2 pairs.
If you're not good at math like I am, that's 4
That's
total
four.
tickets.
That's 4 total tickets. 2 pairs of Illinois basketball tickets for Thursday against Michigan. It's an orange out.
Sellout.
They just beat Michigan State. Big game on the road for them. Coming home, orange out, sellout. And even before that win, this was still a game that was kind of getting hyped up a pretty good amount. I'm sure is there a bobblehead that night? I don't know.
It's Luther bobblehead night.
It's the Luther bobblehead.
D. Brown bobblehead night, guys.
Oh, no, yeah, that's why, because the Luther one already happened.
That's why.
I did see that.
So D. Brown, I mean, what's not to like? It's Michigan. It's against Michigan. It's seriously a big game for them, and we're going to give away 2 tickets later on. That number is 217. I'll say this later, but it's 217-337-1071.
I think that's probably the reason why I sold out. Because of D. Brown.
Oh, yeah, it's certainly a part of it. I mean, there's obviously the first 3 that they gave out. Those are all considered some pretty big heroes in Illinois history. But I think
D. Brown's like the guy.
He is, yeah.
He's the face.
In some ways, some people even put him ahead of Darren Williams in who they.
Well, I feel like Darren has done so much in the NBA, but like D. Brown, he's like
D. Brown was
Justin
probably the
And-
most popular here.
And the bobblehead is really cool. It's him, holding the
Popping the jersey.
Yeah, popping the jersey. Yeah. So that'll be good. We'll be giving away those 2 pairs of tickets later on in the show. But first, I wanted to talk about something that happened last week, which is signing day, Illinois football signing day. Tim Beckman and staff, mostly including Alex Golesh, who's kind of heads up recruiting. They had a couple of they had a decent class, a solid class. And then the day of signing day, they got a couple guys. Steve, you want to talk about who they got and kind of why these were a little bit exciting to happen on the day of?
Yeah, they got 3 commits on signing day morning. It was Keyshawn Vaughn and Cameron Watkins committed together, 4-star running back, and Cameron Watkins is a corner.
Same school, I believe.
Same school, same press conference. They announced together they're going to Illinois. And then Jamal Milan out of Chicago is a 3-star defensive tackle, which really fills a need. Well, both Vaughn and Milan fill huge needs for this Illini team. So able to pair some talent with positions of need kind of vaulted the Illini to I think they ended up 6th in the Big Ten in recruiting. So Pretty solid class for Becker.
I mean, can you think, because this is something that's been a little bit confusing to me, is that Tim Beckman in his time here, this is obviously his best recruiting class, but he's been okay at recruiting. I mean, especially he's kind of swept up with all the JUCO guys. He's getting some top guys at those positions for junior college, transfers. But I'm kind of curious. Something I've been wondering about is he hasn't had, the success on the field up until this past season when they did make the bowl game. But how has he sort of been able to still, 6th in the Big Ten is actually pretty solid. Right. How does he pull that in despite not really having that on the field success that he can point to and say, hey, come here, look at what we've done?
Well, I think you can point to it in a trend. When he got here, it was only 2 wins. Then you bump it up to 4 and then to 6. So I think you can get people to buy in to say, we're not there yet, but we're definitely going in the right direction. And I think people want to jump on board to that. And then obviously, the whole family concept that he loves to talk about. But this Illini team, they don't get in trouble with the law.
Mm-mm.
They have, they've constantly reset their GPA standards. He's run a really solid program, just the wins haven't quite been there yet. But again, trending in the right direction, maybe enticing to some recruits to jump on board.
You talked about a couple of the guys that signed on signing day. Is there anyone else in the class that kind of sticks out to you who you think is going to be like a really impact guy, maybe even in their first season?
I think Dre Brown. I think him and Keyshawn Vaughn really have a chance to get a lot of carries early on. With Donovan Young graduating, they're both running backs. Donovan Young graduating, Devin Church transfers to Eastern Illinois, so you really only have Josh Ferguson on the roster at running back. And he's not a guy you can hand the ball to 30 times a game. Like, he's going to need rest because he's just not that durable.
Mm-hmm.
So you need that second guy, whether it's Vaughn, whether it's Brown, to kind of step in that other role. They signed 4 running backs this class.
It was really an area of need for them.
Yeah, so one of those guys, I assume they're the 2 highest rated among the running backs. But and Dre Brown's enrolled early. As well as, I can't pronounce his name. It's Henry JUCO running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
His last name starts with E. I apologize.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. But, it was a really big position. I think you'll see them on the field pretty early for Illini.
One position that, as of last year, didn't really seem like it was going to be a problem for Illinois, at least problem filling, was at the quarterback position. Mm-hmm. You have Riley O'Toole. Well, not at the time they didn't think this, but you have Wes Lunt, Aaron Bailey, Riley O'Toole, Chase Crouch, if you want to throw him in there.
Riley was like 3rd on that.
Yeah, Riley. Yeah,
you knew that he would be the guy that saved the season.
Yeah, but it was sort of like it was one of these like good problems to have, like having the depth of the quarterback position. That's always seems to be what people are looking for, what teams are looking for. Didn't exactly work out that way with last season with like Lunt going down. You try Bailey out there. They find out Bailey can't exactly throw. He can run really well. And we'll get to that in a second. But he couldn't throw to kind of for them as much as they wanted, especially compared to a guy like Riley O'Toole, who at least could complete those short passes and had a pretty nice run there at the end of the season. But their quarterback, so Riley's gone, and now they've got Wes, and actually no Aaron Bailey, who transferred. He didn't transfer. He filed for he's going to be transferring. That was announced last week. And this is sort of a bit of an issue, I'd say, because, in my mind, I think that Aaron Bailey shouldn't be a quarterback. I think he's got a lot of other positions on the football field that he could, more effectively play in. I know he wasn't getting the playing time simply because he couldn't throw very well. Yeah. So, what are they going to do? Because you look at next season, you got Wes Lunt, and sitting behind him, it's a little rough.
Yeah, so, Lunt was injured at Oklahoma State. He was injured last season. So injuries have been a problem for him in his first 2 seasons. So you have to look at their depth, and right now it's Chase Crouch, who redshirted last season, and then, behind him you've got, Jimmy Fitzgerald is enrolled early. He's an incoming freshman, Champaign kid, coming off a torn ACL himself. And then, it's a little thin there.
They don't,
Especially when you're trying to fill. You're losing 3 starting offensive linemen, like they did this year.
And they do have some, Gabe Meganson from this past recruiting class. He's a guy he's a 4-star offensive lineman. They're going to be starting to fill some of those gaps, but still, they're going to have trouble. Especially if Lunt goes down, I don't know if. Again, I'm not saying that Bailey would have been the answer, but Bailey did have playing time in at the D1 level.
Right.
And
you feel better about him than a completely untested commodity.
Yeah. Now, I know you spoke to Jimmy Fitzgerald recently.
I did.
What's he like? Because I mean, he's a local kid, and I know he had the rough injury last year. But what did he have to say?
Well, this was the second time he's torn his ACL. He tore as a freshman in high school, and then again, I think it was week 2 of his senior year. And he's a really smart kid. I mean, he's a 4.0 GPA in high school. He's looking at going to Harvard or Yale, to play football, but, decided against that. I mean, he's a really smart guy. And when you talk to him, you can tell he appreciates the preparation and, getting to learn every single part of the offense. So I think he'll be phenomenal in that aspect. But he's a 3-star recruit from Champaign. He compared himself to Andrew Luck.
I was going to say, that'd be so bad.
So that's pretty high praise to compare yourself to probably the best quarterback prospect since Peyton Manning. But he said, he thinks he's like Andrew Luck.
Confidence.
It's confident, yeah. I think he's really smart. If everything goes according to plan, then he'll not play this season. That's nothing against him, but you want your quarterbacks to kind of redshirt and then mature and get better and that sort of thing. But I think maybe a couple years down the line, assuming they don't get a recruit over him, he has a chance to.
He may need to play like that. That's kind of what they've set themselves up for, or what kind of the circumstances that they're in now. But with Bailey, going back to that for a second, I think that was something that I think we kind of all saw coming, but didn't quite know when it was going to happen, but that it kind of had to happen.
Yeah.
Do you think, and some people called that like a failure on the coaching staff's end because they didn't. What do you think about that?
I think that's just so hard because Bailey was so adamant about playing quarterback. It kind of ties the coach's hands. It's like, he's not good enough to play. That's just the reality of it. They tried to make a package for him his freshman year. They tried to redshirt him his sophomore year, which you wonder now, do you think that went into it at all, trying to redshirt him? They didn't end up doing it, but they sat him out the first 7 games.
Yeah.
And so, if he's so adamant he won't play another position, but, tries, to play quarterback and he's buried down the depth chart, it makes sense for kind of both ways to part. And, it was something that we kind of all saw coming, and, I wasn't necessarily surprised. Were you?
I really wasn't. Again, I just didn't know when it was going to happen. You kind of felt that it was, but then the last piece of sort of Illinois football news that we've got.
This little off-season Illini football.
Exactly, yeah. I feel like we're talking more about it now, or wanting to talk more about it now than we were when the season was actually going on.
Well, yeah. We like the idea of football better than the actual product.
Well, we're both Bears fans, so that's sort of like the idea of football, the Bears is.
That's sour. We need some time away.
Yes.
I was going to ask, what did you guys think about Beckman's comments to the media? That got a lot of attention, obviously.
It's obviously that kind of blew up, and when we were sitting there, I heard we were in the room when he said it, and I kind of, as soon as he said it, I was like, I feel like that's going to be a thing now. That's going to be the next. It seems like every month there's like a new Beckman thing that the reporters and different media members can talk about. I know what he was. That thought is not like a terrible thought to have, but you got to understand how that you can't say that in that situation and the way he kind of said it. And I feel like he maybe just, I don't know what it was or why he felt that on like a day like that's pretty easy to win, if you want to talk about winning a press conference, a day that people were ready to kind of say, hey, look, Tim Beckman did some good today. I was a little bit disappointed because just for that situation, it looked like it was going to be a good day for Illinois football, and it kind of went the other way.
Well, yeah, that's what I was most disappointed about. He's entitled to his own opinion. If he thinks that, then I'm not going to be one to say that he shouldn't think that way. He's entitled to his own opinion, but for a guy that's taken so much heat pretty much since he walked in the door. When they hired him, they're like, oh, you're getting a guy from Toledo. He's faced criticism all the way through his 3 years here. And this was going to be, his best day. He signed the 6th best recruiting class. You're coming off a bowl game when a lot of people had counted you out. You were really, truly going to have some momentum. And for him to, stick his foot in his mouth again, it was really just kind of disappointing to see.
Well, he may just kind of go into some sort of hiding now just to see if he can get through the rest of the offseason until spring football starts back up.
Yeah, maybe stay off the radio waves a little bit.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to be joined by Cody Westerland of 670 The Score. We're going to talk some Bulls and some All-Star Weekend coming up this weekend. So stay tuned, and we'll be back soon.
This is Wayne Randazzo from 670 The Score in Chicago, and you're listening to Illini Drive.
Welcome back to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. I'm Sam Sherman. We are joined now on the phone lines by 670 The Score's Cody Westerland. We're going to talk some Bulls. How you doing, Cody?
Good. How you guys?
Great. Thanks for coming on today. I guess what I wanted to kind of open up with is the Bulls are sort of in a position now where they've won their last couple games, but they had been really struggling, and it looked like guys, defensively they were having troubles, and obviously that was supposed to be, that was the thing that Tom Thibodeau was able to always kind of instill in this team, and then it almost seemed like then they were switching over to trying to, outscore the opponent, and that just wasn't working, and they kind of found themselves in a rut. I mean, I guess to put it kind of broadly, what's going on with the Bulls right now?
Well, there's a lot going on with the Bulls, it seems like, every day. I think you hit the nail on the head a little bit, though, and tracing it back to defense is obviously kind of what's stood out or been a concern. And some of the defensive numbers and metrics for the Bulls, Tom Thibodeau keeps going back to and kind of saying that they're doing what he wants, but the results not always there. I think if you watched them play the Magic last night, the Magic are a very poor basketball team, as they displayed in the last 36 seconds last night, finding a way to blow a 6-point lead with the ball, which is amazing in some respects. But they're not a good basketball team, but they got some good shots from the Bulls. And so they still got to work things out defensively, just how that system's going to work. The teams keep putting Pau Gasol in the pick and roll time and time again, and they're trying to get Gasol and Joakim Noah both. I mean, that's a couple 7-footers that you're trying to use on defense who don't move as well, as a traditional 4-man might, who's a little smaller and quicker. So a lot of things to figure out there offensively. I think they're fine when Derrick Rose decides to attack and make good decisions, but he just doesn't always do that. So I would kind of trace it back. Defensively, they got to get better, and Derrick Rose needs to be a little bit more consistent offensively. And,
one of the things that, has been kind of constant here is Mike Dunleavy's been out for, I think it's about 19 games now. Is he anywhere close to getting back, and what kind of impact will he have when he finally is able to get back on the court?
Yeah, I mean, Dunleavy could possibly return as soon as tomorrow against the Kings. He said himself basically that he's really close to returning. I think he's up to 18 or 19 missed games in a row now. I'm not for sure. But they could definitely use him because wing defense, he plays very good team defense, and he's a shooter who can space the floor, and that's really what hurts the Bulls when he's not out there. Their floor spacing isn't nearly as good, and he can definitely take care of some of their problems, but to think that he's the answer for everything, I think, would be a little short-sighted, obviously. The Bulls' struggles go far deeper than just having Mike Dunleavy out, and a lot of that traces back to the big man issues and just trying to find the right pairings and everything defensively. And that's not something he's going to help, but the perimeter defense does have to get better so those big guys aren't in as many tough positions time and again. And that traces back to Derrick Rose, that traces back to Jimmy Butler being a little bit more consistent and being a star on defense every night, and that traces back to getting Mike Dunleavy on the floor. So I think at the latest he'd be back first game after the All-Star break, which I believe would be a week from Friday, at worst-case scenario, and he perhaps could be back as soon as tomorrow. But it's kind of been a befuddling right ankle jam, they coined it, that they haven't figured out. But he is getting very close, according to pretty much everyone involved.
Cody, how real is this, the Tom Thibodeau front office clash? I mean, I know that there's definitely been, there's been some turmoil there, but is there any actual, possibility that, like some people have said, this might be his, last season in Chicago? In my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, is one of the best coaches in the NBA. Could this really be, it for him? Is that how bad this sort of front office clash has gotten?
Yeah, I mean, there is a clash. There's no doubt that front office and Tom Thibodeau don't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and he kind of wishes he could always do it his way and play guys as much as he wants and have no restrictions on them. And I mean, they're their clash kind of dates back to the front office and Greg Foreman getting rid of Ron Adams, who was one of his most trusted and loyal assistants with the Bulls. They kind of made the decision not to renew his contract, which he was not happy about at all, really. So there's no denying that, but I think it traces back to winning, as always. I mean, winning takes care of not just a lot of things, it pretty much takes care of everything. So if the Bulls win big and make that deep postseason run and contend and get to the NBA Finals or something, I don't see how you can get rid of a coach who's a probably top 5 coach in the NBA by anyone's, by most people's opinion or consensus. Now, the Bulls were to flame out in the first round because they're a little tired and rugged, and then they don't play like they should because they're not in their peak condition, and he didn't get them together, then absolutely he could be gone. There's no question. I mean, if you're not going to win and your coach isn't going to get along with the front office, you're not going to stay in a town very long. So it's there, but I think, as always, winning cures all, and there's absolutely still in his hands. I mean, he's still a smart guy, and his team still has a lot of potential that he can put together, and they just got to do it more consistently. It's just such a fascinating season because you can see how much potential the Bulls have, but at the same time, it's kind of glaring and shocking to see all the big holes they also have at times, too, and some of it comes back to effort, and some of it comes back to personnel. And I think the effort part is on the players to bring it every night, and the strategy part and personnel is on Tom Thibodeau to use to the best of his ability. So big season for him has been from the first day, and that's the storyline that everyone will keep watching. But he has the talent, and I think in the context of this season, the Bulls are still okay as far as the locker room. I think still believes in Tom Thibodeau. Now they might get a little annoyed by him. He does push pretty hard, but I mean, they still trust him and they still respect him. So he has what he needs still here in this moment to prove what he needs to prove, no doubt.
Going back to the Ron Adams situation, I know they didn't retain his contract. But what was the story there? Was it just a money issue or a disagreement with Foreman and Paxson, or I guess why did they not bring him back this season?
Yeah, that was a couple summers ago, and Ron Adams I don't think has ever spoken at real length about it. I think he and the front office have both acknowledged, or through sources, reports have come out through the years and all the months that have gone by, that he spoke outside, I think, what they say, the walls of the Berto Center, which is their old practice facility. So by meaning that, they thought that, I guess I took it as he leaked some info or an opinion to some media members or outside members, and they really wanted to keep everything in-house. And to me, that kind of felt like, when you look at it in hindsight, that feels like a real reason for the front office to try to get rid of a guy, because, 95% of people in the NBA will talk off the record about a lot of things, whether coaches, players, all that stuff. So that to me kind of seemed like a reason, but that was kind of the Bulls' reasoning, was that he didn't keep some stuff in-house, which is still kind of perplexing because it wasn't anything big or anything at all that turned into a controversy back then, to the best of my recollection. So I think that was kind of it, and they just wanted a new direction, kind of show that they still have a lot of influence and maybe wanted some other guys. But that was kind of the start of it all, but it's been a long list of things, kind of Thibodeau in the front office not always seeing eye to eye, and a lot of it comes back to his style a little bit and then wanting him to ease off the gas sometimes. But I think that's kind of the background on it.
Okay. Looking at the Eastern Conference, Bulls sitting in third place right now, kind of almost a logjam there at the top. I guess, what's your take on the East? I mean, do you like the Hawks? I mean, they're kind of up quite a bit in the East, or I guess who you like in that conference?
I said kind of since the start of the year, I thought it would be Bulls Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. I thought it would go 6-7 games, is what I said day one. I expected those two teams to play well and be the top seeds. So in that, I'm not actually going to back off that at all. I still think the Cavs and Bulls have the two best teams in the East. When the playoffs come around, I think they're going to be the best. I think the Hawks are terrific, but I just think the Cavs' ceiling is so high, and I still think the Bulls can get this figured out, in the sense that if defense is your problem with Tom Thibodeau coaching, I still think that there should be a belief there that he can get some of that fixed and make that into an elite defense instead of kind of the average to good on some nights that they've been, or sometimes they've just been bad on other nights, really, to tell the truth. So I still think the ceiling for the Bulls and Cavs is a little higher when they get it figured out. The Hawks are terrific, but saying Bulls, Cavs, I realize they could meet in the Eastern Conference semifinals if the seeds work out like that. If they kind of hover and struggle a little bit more, they could actually meet in the 4-5 matchup in the first round. Mm-hmm. So to say that's kind of weird because it still might be Bulls and Cavs against the Hawks or something. But that's not to take anything away from Atlanta. I think they're a terrific team, and Mike Budenholzer should be running away with Coach of the Year. And they're terrific at passing, but I still think there's just a lot of times in the NBA you got to pay your dues, and it takes a year, and the playoffs a different grind than the regular season. And I still think the Hawks, maybe they peak a little too early. I don't know if they can keep up this play for 82 games and then another 24 or so in the postseason. We'll have to wait and see. But I feel like both Cavs is one of the two teams to come out of the East. And right now the Cavs are playing a lot better than the Bulls. And I think Cleveland at their best still has a higher ceiling than anyone in the East. So that's kind of what I still tilt to here a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing with the Hawks is, they don't have the one alpha dog star.
No, definitely not.
Which kind of fits into their style of play of, the frenetic ball movement and stuff like that. But the thing I just worry about with them is, who's your go-to guy at the end of the games? Is it Jeff Teague or Al Horford?
Kyle Korver.
Kyle Korver. Yeah, it's shooting like 53% from three or something like that.
Cody, we were just talking about some good basketball. I want to talk about some not so good basketball for a second, because it's kind of been one of the more recent, I don't know about fascinating, but very strange storylines in the NBA, and that's kind of what's going on in Sacramento with the Kings, and just with whether it's George Karl rumored to go there, and then DeMarcus Cousins' camp saying not so fast, and then DeMarcus Cousins last night having some sort of strange post-game comments, especially after a game
winner.
Yeah, after a game winner. It seems like obvious that they should, if Carl's interested in that Sacramento job, that they should, jump on that. And I think that they see it the same way. But it looks like Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins, looks at it a different way. So kind of what's that whole situation? Do you think that he'll end up there, or do you think that that Boogie's camp is gonna stop that?
No, right now, everything I've read, I think Yahoo Sports was reporting that they're really close to a deal with George Karl for, I think, a 4-year contract. And I think that'd be a good hire for him, actually. George Karl has proved that he can win. Has, I think, over 1,100 career wins or so, and he's done it at a lot of different places. And the work he did in Denver was just amazing when he took some of those teams and won over 50 games with a lot of guys. They have some good players, but, he made them more than the sum of their parts all the time, it seems like there. So Boogie's camp has kind of backed off from what I've read. As far as not wanting George Karl, they were, I think, a little bit more shocked that the Kings were just making another coaching switch so soon, because they got rid of Mike Malone, who Boogie liked, and who was actually doing an okay job, and they were playing really well earlier in the year, and I think he came down. Boogie had to go to the hospital or something with some sort of infection.
Yeah, like meningitis or something.
Or a viral illness that kept him out a while. And then they really started playing poorly, and then it's like they almost used that ownership bid as a reason to get Mike Malone out of town. And the original thought was to let Tyrone Corbin coach out at the end of the year, and then in April have a full-on scale coaching search. But they kind of accelerated that process because they haven't been playing well, and I think ownership is a little trigger-happy and just wants to get good quick and just wants change. And it's kind of a really weird situation there. So I think George Karl will end up in Sacramento here, probably after the All-Star break, it sounds like. And that's good for Boogie Cousins. He's been an excellent player this year. No one in the NBA should probably put up 24 points and 12 rebounds as easily as Boogie Cousins. Now, he doesn't do it every night because sometimes maybe the effort's not there or people take him away from this or that. But he's such a talented guy, has a soft touch around the rim and big body and moves well still for being that strong, that he can just throw up 30 and 15 like it's nothing some night. So that's a guy that I think he'd blossom under George Karl more. That's a guy with a true superstar potential. Now, he's got to reach it, and that's why they want a new coach, and I think that's kind of their thought process, is if he can become a star, then he can be something in the Western Conference. Because it's just so tough in the West with so many good teams that you really do need a star like that. But I think at some point George Karl will end up in Sacramento, and through all the ownership kind of mess that has become there, I think they'll be okay.
It was weird. Just like, these post-game comments, I don't know if you got a chance to see him yesterday, but he was talking like, as it was like a very sad, sad comment, interview, basically.
He did not seem happy.
And
after hitting a game winner and having 28 and 14.
It's like, I get it. Like, yeah, he's in Sacramento, and I guess that's not the greatest place to play, but he's obviously a pretty excellent. He's got phenomenal potential. He's showing a lot of that this season. But it was just strange. I mean, we were watching it last night, and it was just like, it's not that bad, or maybe it is.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Malone got a fair shake. I mean, Bogey went out with viral meningitis or something like that, and they went on a losing streak, and then he gets fired. I know it's kind of hard to win when the pretty much only great player on your team is out with some sort of disease.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much getting better this season should be that big of a concern for the Kings anyway. I don't think winning 4 extra games is going to do them a lot of good, if anything. The Bulls actually have their draft pick if it falls outside the top 10. The Bulls have rights to it if it's 11 or later. From that trade, I think the Kings sent their pick to Cleveland, and then the Bulls got it in the Rule Dang trade last year. So it's one of those things. It's like losing games in Sacramento should actually be the short-term goal. So putting a Hall of Fame coach caliber guy like George Karl in there, I don't know how much that helps right away. They probably could have waited until the end of the year, but it's one of those things where NBA is a tough thing with coaching. You got to think there's only 4 NBA coaches, I believe, in the league that have won NBA titles that are actively coaching right now. So if you got a guy you really like, you want to get him when you can, and maybe they thought at the end of the year there'll be other competition for George Karl, and they wanted to act now. But that's kind of what I would guess or take away from it. But you're right; it's kind of an interesting situation now.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for joining us to talk some Bulls again. That was Cody Westerland of 670 The Score. Hope to talk to you soon.
Yep, anytime. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks again, Cody. So we are going to take another quick break, but when we return, we're going to have a very special segment. We're going to have Champaign Mayor Don Gerard on to talk about a little bit of a Twitter battle that went on a couple days ago, and I think everyone should stick around and listen to that. I know everyone should stick around and listen. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Hi, this is Champaign Mayor Don Gerard, and I'm concerned about 4 things, and that would be police, fire, public works, and Illini sports. That's why I tune into Illini Drive at 6 p.m. on Mondays on WPGU 107.1 FM.
At the line, and Trice missed his only attempt. Gets the front end of the 1-and-1 here.
Hey, that was a foul.
He took a shot.
Yeah, that was a foul.
Jalen Tate came over to try and box out Trice as the shooter and gave him a pretty good shot.
Welcome back to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. Thanks for sticking with us throughout the show. This is going to be a fun one, Steve. We got a special guest in studio. We have Champaign Mayor Don Gerard. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. Great to be here.
Now, we always enjoy having you on the program. Obviously, you've been with us.
Enjoy being on the program.
And today, actually, there's an interesting reason or interesting way that we have you on, or what we wanted to talk about at least. And it was a little a Twitter battle, I guess. What was the best way you heard it described? Because I kept saying battle, but Twitter war feud. Yeah,
that sounds a little too negative. I don't know.
I keep hearing people criticizing these are 2 grown men. Why are they? Like, isn't that what Twitter's for? You watch a ball game. And you give each other, a little guff. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? That's what guys do, right?
And Twitter's like the world's largest sports bar.
It's what sports fans do. Are you kidding me?
And basically, so for people who may not be familiar, on Saturday during the Illinois-Michigan State game, they were at Michigan State. They won. Illinois fans, I'm prefacing that so you don't have to start getting angry about anything, but they did win. But in the closing seconds, I think, last 30 seconds, Jalen Tate boxed out the free throw shooter on a 1-and-1, which is live ball.
Yeah. And this very important in like 30 seconds.
Yes, it will. And he boxed out Travis Trice, who was shooting those free throws, and they called, and it was like, okay, that doesn't seem strange at all. That's kind of what you're taught to do. You got to remember the shooter. You got to box out the shooter, so the ball doesn't bounce back on a miss, and he can just put it right back up. seems simple enough. Well, actually, no. They stopped play for a second, and everyone was. I mean, I was thinking, like, what's the problem here?
You know what the problem was? What I realized was after growing up in this town, watching Illini sports, seeing Ted Valentine officiate for the last 48 years or so, that he hadn't been to the monitor for his minimum 15 times in the half. So.
He had to get to his quota.
Yeah. He was missing his quota on going to the monitors.
And all of a sudden on the broadcast, Dan Dockich was calling the game. The always talkative, opinionated. Dan Dockich. I guess you want to be talkative, yeah. And he kind of like you kind of said, but he kind of sort of took it personally. This call ended up what they called was a dead ball technical foul, and it just seemed like. Basically that just let Michigan State shoot as many free throws as they wanted and then get the ball back. Yeah. And it was kind of ridiculous because, at the time, I think everyone was a little bit uncertain about what was going on. But Dockich kind of took to the side of, oh, that's absolutely a foul. He was very, vocal about that. And Mr. Mayor, you then stepped in.
Wow, yeah, exactly. After the game, I had been up sleeping all night on the side, or stayed up all night with the homeless. We did our homeless fundraiser, raised $94,000 for See You at Home. I was a little groggy. I was working on 2 hours sleep, so. I'm just sitting there, and basically the ghost of my old man and the presence of my brother kind of appeared on the couch and said, like, it's Digger Phelps, it's Bobby Knight, it's Bill Walton, whatever, call him out on that. But instead of yelling at the TV, I tweeted.
Yeah.
When you do that,
and did you
Don Dockich or Dan Dockich or Dan Dockich.
Did you expect? So, you I think really the first tweet was really just saying. That
pretty innocuous.
Yeah.
I thought it was just sort of like a, hey, you know what, you were wrong.
Yeah, the original thing, the early tweets, it wasn't anything, or the first tweet really shouldn't have sparked anything crazy. But as we all know, or as some people know, Dan Dockich likes to get into these.
He made it personal.
He
really
did.
Quick, and I'm not one to back down. Like I said, I said, I gave Lou Henson the key to the city, and one of the reasons was because he stood up to Bobby Knight and the bullies. Nicest guy in the world, but when there's a bully, he stands up to him. And I was just shocked, and quite frankly, it was almost like an auto response, just to give him a little crap about not having a coaching job, and then when he went to the whole like, I get offered coaching jobs all the time, and I'm 6'5", and what,
Did you expect a response to the initial tweet? Because I think you said you thought it was.
Not at all. I tweeted and I thought, well, maybe that's him, but then I'm looking, it's not verified, and I was really paying that much attention. And then when he responded, and it was so ridiculous, I thought, this is just some kid or something, or some college guy or whatever, just giving me some crap or whatever. I didn't think it was really him, if I'm honest. And then I took a nap and woke up, and it was him.
Well, yeah, this blew up over the weekend.
Blew up, yeah.
It was on SB Nation, Deadspin, I know you've been
670 The Score.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been doing interviews. I saw Dockich has been doing interviews. I'm not sure I've ever seen something locally like this kind of blow up to such a national level.
I was laughing about it with one of my sports guy friends, reporters here at one of the other stations, and I was saying, like, wouldn't it be hilarious if this actually spurred like an NCAA rules change on Twitter battle? Because
that would be.
It's carried this conversation to I've seen it on other sites where it doesn't really talk about us fighting as much as it talks about. What the heck happened here? What was this bizarreness, and what was why did how do they justify this? How did it happen? How did we get here? And what's going on? So I think it'd be pretty flippin' cool if, just keep it going and get that figured out, because that was ridiculous. It just doesn't make enough rules.
It doesn't make sense that the ball's in the air and there's a screenshot of everyone boxing out, including Jalen Tate, and then he gets called for a dead ball technical. I just don't understand that.
Yeah, and if in the NBA, the shooter probably would have got fined $5,000 for flopping.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I guess we're getting some technical advice out there. Maybe it's a little low, but we'll get that corrected. I wonder what it's like. I've never. Yeah. I've never been. I don't think anyone here, maybe I'm pretty sure other than you, have been like kind of gone viral on all these different sites from a tweet or anything like that. I know you said you woke up from the nap and you're like, whoa, this is the thing. What was kind of going through your mind? Did you think that it was, or you really rather when people started picking it up and you started, you were on with Jay Moore earlier today. Was this something that was like took you back a little bit?
Yeah, I was a little. If I'm honest, my first thought was, oh man, my mom's gonna be mad. Get fights, but. I was shocked, and it was, it became comforting. Like Will Leach, founder of Deadspin, tweeted. I'm pals with him, and and he tweeted, "I'm really enjoying your little run through the jungle here." So yeah, and one of my very, very biggest supporters here in town, who is my biggest critic and always keeps me straight and honest, says, he texted me and said, "I don't want to encourage you, but this is hilarious." If it was anybody else, any other situation, I'd be going like, "What are you thinking?" But this is awesome.
So you guys actually have made up a little bit.
I donated $100 to his charity and sent him a note and said, "You're still wrong."
Well, that was the best part. You were not apologizing.
You know, and the paper said he apologized, and on the Lauren Tate said, "Oh, the mayor apologized." No, Lauren, I didn't apologize. You know, I said you were wrong, but you know, I want you to enjoy your time in Champaign. That's what grown-ups do. You know, that's what politicians do. That's what we should all do. You know, you with your friends or whatever, you go back and forth a little bit, and then at the end of the day, you're pals or whatever, and you know, whatever. We're all in this together. And like I said, he felt so bad. He's going to come to town and host a charity fundraiser for us. So
wow, yeah.
You know, I shot a note to Mike Thomas, the Illini AD, and see if we get something rolling.
Well, I mean, because you know, obviously he will be in town on Thursday, calling the Illinois Michigan. Yeah, and so you're saying
we need to hold you back.
Yeah, we.
I feel like Orange Crush. Get in my head, the giant head. I want my head to be in the Orange Crush.
Can we make that?
I've got a big head already.
Yeah, well, I mean, can we get a Mayor Girard and Dan Dockich head that kind of they clash them up against each other?
There you go.
Yeah. But no, it was a really it was sort of a fun way to, especially it was fun because Illinois won, and also there was some entertainment.
So you guys are too young to remember, but what was it, Digger Phelps or was it Bill Walton, where he's talking about how dirty the Illini are playing in the tournament? And Bill Self talked about this, you know, and he'll go, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." But I talked to Bill Self off the, you know, not recorded or anything, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, the announcer Walton was like just dogging us the whole game, and then the next game we get a record number of fouls called on us. Everything is called, you know, and it makes a difference." And I just kind of felt like, in my heart, I was just doing what my dad does. I was yelling at the TV, and I was yelling through Twitter, and I didn't think anything would come of it. Then when something started to come of it, I'm like, you know, I'm going to stand my ground on this. I'm not going to apologize. And you're wrong. It was wrong. You know?
It was an incorrect call.
And the announcer himself, did you see where did you tweet it, where his son was, if you listen to the rebroadcast where there's one point, my son who plays for Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love, too, that he's going to call the Michigan game where his son plays for.
That's a whole other thing.
Bill Walton all over again. But he said, "Oh, my son just texted me and said that is not a foul." You know.
It's like, oh, your son's right, actually.
Yeah, two cats in the cradle, man.
Actually, you know, outside of that, it was actually a really big win for Illinois.
It really was, yeah.
And he was funny. He was like, "I enjoy you won. You won." You know, it's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that we have to lay down and listen to you.
No, exactly. I mean, it was a big win. It was kind of a win that I was saying before the game that if they lose, do they still have a chance of making the tournament? Sure. I mean, they could still have they would have to go on some sort of big run.
Did anyone call that? Did anyone say
The guru, right to the right of me.
Jeff
Yes,
Boomer,
yes, our social media guru right here.
He was, I think, the only one on here that said that the Illini were going to win in East Lansing. So
I was. Thank you.
That's why we keep you around.
then Sam made all our decisions for us. So
Yeah,
we didn't
were
have to
going
say
through.
so.
We were doing a game by game breakdown of the rest of the season, and it ended up just kind of being my opinion on each game.
Yeah, we would gauge everyone's opinion and then just put down his own.
Yeah. But I mean, it was a big game, and I guess it's kind of miraculous when you look at it like that they lose. They lose. You know, Cosby and Aaron Cosby and Rayvonte Rice. They had an injury and then the suspension that's kept them out.
4 of their top 7, or 3 of the top 7 would-be players this season are out. Abrams.
Yeah.
And
I guess
you
that's.
could throw Darius Paul in there too. Who's supposed
to
be there. Yeah.
So I mean, they've kind of battled through a lot of that, but this has sort of been something that head coach John Gross has sort of shown in his time here. I mean, it was kind of been, I guess, fun to watch for the fans, where you're thinking like maybe they'll always seem to have those slow kind of coming out of the gate in conference play, but they kind of pick it up.
It's crazy. They look really nothing like the team in December. You know, I mean, I feel like they take so many less threes now. Maybe that's just, you know, subject of being in Big Ten play. But I mean, their defense has been so much better. And yeah, it's like you talk about. They seem to peak, you know, in February, and they didn't dig themselves as deep of a hole as they had in years past so far.
That's the thing. It's like, you know, I like Bruce Weber. You know, he's a nice guy and everything, but boy, his teams did not get better as the season went on.
Nope.
These guys, I mean, and just coming out of like LeRon Black, and you know, Dockich said it himself. I mean, Malcolm Hill, just amazing. You know, these guys are just really tremendous ball players, and it's so exciting to see their development and to see them step up and just go like, yeah, we can play like men here. We'll just make some man-sized moves to the hoop, and And Nana, I mean, good Lord, that D that he's playing where he edges out and then cuts back, it's amazing.
I mean, he was...
People, like, the old-timers knock him for that, but boy, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's doing it really, really well.
He's running around, and I know that throughout the, a lot of people have issue with Agwu, whether it's him stepping out for shooting a three or just his offensive game is maybe not quite where people would expect it to be as him as a senior, but I don't think you can argue with what he does on defense.
Yeah.
Starks is the same way. Like I like Starks, and sometimes when he throws those iron clangers off your good Lord. But then he just ice water in his veins, knocks a couple down. But boy, on the defense and on the he's been driving, and he pulls a lot of rebounds for the smallest guy on the court.
He's strong.
Yeah, he's tough, and he may not be the complete shooter that we were hoping for, expecting, but man, he makes it happen out there. He does a lot of the stuff that doesn't show up in the scorebook, but I'm really impressed with him. I know every time he hits a three and I tweet, I always love Starks. People laugh. Seriously, a little bit. But
he has the ability to do it. I mean, he is a great shooter. He's just had
down some big ones.
Yeah.
I mean, he's knocked out some really key ones. So that's a good team. I'm really excited, and I think it's great because you start to get the typical Illini Nation, like, oh, fire the coach or whatever, getting on Gross. But Gross is the real deal, and he can coach. And I tell you what, he gets those guys motivated, they believe. And this, like I said, without Abrams and Ravante, and they're doing great.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect this.
I mean, just all the flexibility with the lineups. They can go really small with a couple point guards in, or put in both bigs. I mean, the way he's had to maneuver these lineups with this, they have, right now they have two wing players. I mean, that's about it. It's Kendrick Nunn and Malcolm Hill. So, I mean, being able to work around that, and now, sitting at 6-5 in the Big Ten, and in the tournament as of right now, most for
whether it's a last four in or, more comfortably in there.
We're first four, aren't we?
First four, or I guess, and some of them they were more, like they were actually, they were more comfortably in it, but a couple of the other ones. I mean, the fact is that they're back in the NCAA tournament discussion, which they really weren't, and it didn't look like they were going to be with some of the issues that they've had. But I guess one thing. Oh, what do we got over here? Is it a?
Oh, he's got his new best friend there on the phone.
Oh my goodness, Jay! Can I say? Yeah, getting text from Jay Moore. Big shot over here. No, I mean, it is kind of amazing though. I mean that. On Saturday, before you made the tweet, Jay Moore, and being on the Jay Moore show probably was the thing that you didn't think you were going to think.
And then Jay Moore is going to be like, I'm your best friend now. You might have to call me, text me. We're going to have fun.
And now you are. And
Facebook, apparently. You guys didn't say this out. I think it's funny. I texted him, I got a new phone, and I texted him to the number he gave me just to make sure. I just sent a back test, just checking, hoping this is the right number. And he responded, this is Anthony Weiner.
He's a funny guy. He's a very funny guy.
He's a very, very nice guy. Very funny. And I was listening. I heard a little bit of his sports show, but today I actually, just put it on in the background, and he knows his stuff, and he has a lot of fun with it, and I really enjoyed it. It was a good time.
The last one other thing with Illinois basketball that's something I've been kind of struggling with is, eventually or inevitably, Ravante will return to the team. I would guess it's probably going to be this Thursday, but again, I don't know for sure. What I think that he should.
I thought it was only going to be a couple of games.
Well, I think that what probably.
I got, yeah.
But
Commercial, let's talk about it. What did you hear?
I guess, for me, what I was sort of thinking was that it would be those. At first, it was those two, but then I kind of thought, like, well, maybe Gross doesn't want to send the message of, like, just for the two games that they probably would have won anyway. Yeah. So then you set him for Michigan State, and they actually won, so if he looks even better. But what would you do? So when Ray comes back, I think he should come off the bench and still play plenty of minutes, but I don't know if you break up the starting lineup yet. What do you think about that?
I'm friends with his mother, so I'm going to say he should start and play every minute. If you've ever met Rhonda, she's a coach first. I think that's well, we'll see. We'll see how he feels. It wasn't a shooting hand, right? So
right.
We'll see. I have no idea what's been going on as far as practice goes and stuff. So, but chemistry's pretty darn good right now.
Yeah.
I mean, boy, he'd be something to come off the bench, boy, and just give you some energy and give you some drives to the hoop.
Well, don't forget Aaron Cosby, too.
Sam tends to forget him a lot.
Yeah,
No, I know him. I know who he is. I just think, and I remembered today that he's a junior. Well, he'll have another. He's a junior in terms of his eligibility, so he'll have another season to grace his.
That's not how you said it earlier.
Right.
I was a little bit more. Kind of more shocked or disappointed in remembering that. I think he actually sort of started to find something that he was good at, which was playing defense. I mean, he does play defense. He does hustle down the floor, but unlike Ahmad Starks, who has sort of shown his ability to make some big shots and I think get better shot selection, Cosby really hasn't been able to find it yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he had that one game against Northwestern. He hit all those threes or whatever. But I mean, more often than not, he's been.
It's flat. His shot's just flat.
It's flat, and then when it's off, it gets even more flat.
Mm-hmm.
And it just
it's a shot that you take, and it's so flat that it's really just a turnover. I mean, that's basically essentially. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I know, it's not a personal thing. It's just that. I think that, yes, he will be returning. I'm not so sure if...
Sam Sherman, Aaron Cosby, Twitter battle.
Well, no. Maybe, because then who knows?
Wind up being a guest on
but I might... Maybe. Well, again, thank you so much, Mayor Don Gerard, Mayor of Champaign, Don Gerard, for coming on.
It's fantastic. I'm coming back I'll be back in March for unofficial. You guys remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and also...
March Madness and unofficial.
Well, because Illinois will... I don't know, not that they will eventually win the NCAA tournament.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you'll be definitely back on to be talking about that.
Playing the parade and whatnot.
But again, thank you so much for coming on. Always a pleasure to have you.
Anything for you guys. I'm going to get Jay to do a bump for you.
That would excellent. Very, very cool. Can we can maybe even consider him a friend of the show?
Absolutely.
Can we go? Because
friend of the show.
I can guarantee that.
Excellent. Well, Jay Moore, Don Gerard, friends of the show.
I think
We've got two friends
yeah,
of the show.
Don,
I think
that
that's
doc
his
is
new-
not yet, but
that's his new line and stuff. For we have no fans on the show. That's his
We have
new
two-
line.
we
Now.
have two fans.
Two fans.
we have
Okay,
two fans,
cool.
two friends.
I just wanted to know that.
Well, just another reminder. We're giving away. This is actually pretty cool. We're giving away 2 pairs of tickets to the sold out. The Orange Out, which we were saying before actually was getting some hype before Illinois, well before, because it was a sellout. They want everyone to wear orange. It's the D Brown bobblehead giveaway. Who doesn't want to, get one of those? I think everybody does. And we're actually giving away 2 pairs of tickets for that game. Please call in. Actually, I shouldn't even have to say please. This is a pretty cool thing. just call in. The number is 217-337-1071. That number again is 217. Oh, yes. 217-337-1071. 2 pairs for that Illinois basketball game against Michigan, which is going to be a big game. I think they got him. That's Thursday, yeah.
Oh,
That's the Dockage game.
Oh, yeah. I do have to get
We have to, I think that's a game that I think some people will consider maybe a bit of a trap game against a team that they lost to early in the season, but has really struggled. Revenge game. Yeah, no trap games here. Well, thanks again for listening. Again, just one more time, that number is 217-337-1071. Thank you to Cody Westerland of The Score. We were talking some Bulls with him earlier. Thank you to Mayor Don Gerard for coming in. Always a pleasure. I'm Sam Sherman, joined alongside Steve Bourbon, Torrance Sorrell, our producer, and our social media guru, Jeff Omer, who was the only person who predicted, I think the only person in the world who predicted Illinois to take down Nostradamus, who predicted the... He liked Illinois...
He said if you think Illinois is going to win these plans, I want what you're smoking. So that's why I spotted him. It's like, nothing to smoke, just put a pinch of community cheap. Because it works.
Well, thanks again for listening to Illini Drive on WPGU 107.1. We'll be back with you in a week from today.
Yep.